You're listening to Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. Small town feel with big time ideas. After all, you are entitled to Brad's opinion. Here's your host, Brad Allard.
Well, despite what you hear, Taylor is on vacation. We have Josh in pinch hitting role today. How you doing, bud?
Doing all right. How are you?
Yeah, you got this all down?
Yeah, it's easy.
This is a good time to ask you, is Taylor still beating on you like he was before? I mean, he's a pretty harsh taskmaster.
I think it's in my contract to not say anything further.
Yeah, the non-disclosure. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't let him give you a hard time. That's, you hang in there. All right. Anyway, I have Sandy Mason, the American Legion, here today. We're going to talk about the youth hunting programs and all the other programs they have going on. We're going to take a look at some of the other stuff that the American Legions offer. I don't know if you've seen this on Facebook, but we made a reel out of your last appearance. These little short 90 to 270 second little clips of the shows.
Yeah. I caught part of one of those yesterday.
Yeah. So talking about some of the things that you do for veterans of the American Legion. So, and that sometimes is even a better advertisement than the others. Taylor, who is midair, I think, anyway. Josh is doing great. Have the best show ever. Okay, Taylor. All right. Anyway, so hopefully that reel, sometimes those reels get more coverage than a whole show because a lot of people say, well, they'll get parts of it or pieces of it. This is a way of condensing some of the more important parts of the show. Right. So there you go. Anyway, we're going to talk about all these other things going on. But first, let's talk about the sponsors. Our buddy over at Our Place, which is where I was this morning, in fact, Otto. And he has a special today, I believe, at the Gina's, some sort of pizza and salad deal. So go check it out. It's a great place for both of them are, really great places. I really enjoy the atmosphere in both of the places. And the food is good, service is good. A lot of the same people work both of them, like after the morning shift, they'll go work at the pizza joint or whatever. So you see a lot of familiar faces. So I had a nice time this morning with my breakfast buddies from Sunday school, and we didn't solve the world's problems, but we sure did analyze the heck out of them. So, so there you go. Thank you, Otto. Also, Wild Cigar. It's another place you can analyze the world's problems and have a cigar and smoke while you do it, and have a drink, and maybe that'll help you come up with some of these solutions. Wild Cigar over at the Standard, they got all sorts of cigar specials this month. They get a bunch of specials. They get usually a vendor every couple of weeks come by with specials. But even if you're not a cigar smoker yourself, you know some that are. So get cigars for a gift or a gift certificate, or just go over there for a decent drink in a quiet, contemplative atmosphere. That's always a good thing. Also, thank you to Southern Jim. Tomorrow and... Is it tomorrow? Yes, it is. Tomorrow and Saturday. I'm making sure I got my dates right. It's the 19th and 20th. I know that much. They're going to have a big sale over at Southern Gym. They've been in this location for about a year now. So, I was talking to Gail yesterday, B&I meeting, and basically asked her what should I be promoting. And she said, well, we just got a lot of stuff that's going to be discounted, quite a bit of discount. And also they have the other services like, the repairs and design and things of that nature. They do a lot of repair business. And so Southern Gym's your place to go and do all of that. Also, thank you to two maids. I saw Brenda there yesterday. I asked her if they were still looking for employees, and yes, they are, because their business is expanding. And I said, that shows the power of advertising, doggone it. But twomaidscleaning.com/Burleson, 817-764-0733. You pay them based on the rates. They also have all sorts of special deals going on, if once a week, twice a week, twice a month. It's something good for your parents. That's what I've been stressing the last couple of months because it's been more apparent to me. My parents live outside their service area, but they have that going on because my mother, she's getting up there. My dad, he never was much help in the first place. So, so there you go. So give Brenda a call. Again, at 817-764-0733, and she'll hook you right up. Also, who'll hook you right up is John Williams over at Old Pro Roofing. He'll come check your roof out. I hear that the next time it's supposed to rain is like 2029, so this is a good time to get your roof inspected. You don't want to do it while it's raining, certainly. He came over a week ago yesterday, and 5 minutes up on the roof, come back and said, you're good. Showed me the pictures and shared them with me. And that's nice to know because we're going to have some weather, of course. I might be a bit facetious. You never know. With hurricane season coming up, you might get a piece of that. And you want to make sure your roof is going to withstand it. And so call OPRO, 817-734-2756. And Jeff Kelly at the Weathington Agency, 817-781-0546, 817-720-6300. They'll get his office, or at Jeff at jeffkellyrealty.com. We've got a lot of information you could use. You got some houses that are available. You read stuff, hear stuff about problems in the housing market. Well, here in Burleson, still moving pretty quick. The average length of a house being on the market is about half what it is the national average. So give them a holler. Also, at the end, we need to talk about the railroaders because they got a busy weekend coming up. So, we'll do it now. Okay, there he is. All right. So tonight we have the fireworks Friday, which is always a really big deal. They have a really good fireworks show. And also tomorrow night is Margaritaville with a Hawaiian T-shirt giveaway. Now, that sounds like a deal right there. Margaritaville, if you wanted a margarita out there, you can have one. They have a clubhouse up there, and sometimes it's, reserved for parties or whatever else. But after the first pitch, it's open for everybody. And so if you want to go up there, get cooled off a little bit, you can get up there, get a Dr. Pepper, a beer, margarita, whatever. And I saw the place when I was talking with Kay Goodell, who will be on the show next Thursday. And it really worked out pretty well. And Sunday's always fun for the kids because they get to go down on the field and beat the players and run the bases and, I don't know, maybe take a couple swings for all I know. I mean, just fun like that, So it's a very hometown ball team. I really enjoy that. So how'd you like that 4th of July parade, Mr. Mason?
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
It was hot, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we've been there when it's decent weather, hot like this was, and then we've been rained on before. So.
Really. Josh, do you have a couple of those pictures, I believe, from a previous show? There we are. Yes, sir. And for those who didn't see the previous show, that's my dad's picture I'm carrying around. He was in the Army in 1961. He was a jumper and a ranger. Found out later he'd earned Green Beret status in the reserves. But he was ready to go to that Cuba episode back in the day. And I just thought, it'd be a really good thing. Mr. Mason was very kind to invite me to come along, and I was grateful for it. But also there's a piece of me that said, I didn't serve. And I talked to my cousin. He said, look, we got a lot of men and women, mostly men. I think we had one female veteran in our family. We had a lot of men that served. You go and take it for them. So I want to bring my dad along, so to speak, in his honor. And it was a good parade. It really was. I hadn't been in the riot itself. I'd put together a bunch for high school homecoming, but I never rode in it. And people were all the way through it. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. That must be very gratifying.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And
a little closer, Mr. Mason.
Yeah, it's very nice to have people tell you, thank you for your service.
Mm-hmm.
We see people in town when you're having breakfast or whatever, if you're wearing a hat or a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like with American Legion, when I'm wearing a Legion shirt or Legion hat, I want to be able to let those veterans know we're in the community as well. So be able to talk to them if they have questions. So.
Well, there's a reel that we put together from your last appearance. It talks about some of the desire, I guess, of your group to find veterans that need help. Right. Sometimes a lot of these veterans may not know where to go, or their relatives may not know where to go.
Right.
And so, hopefully that'll attract somebody that knows somebody that could use your services.
Yeah, the American Legion, we're here in Burleson where veterans continue to serve. And it's rewarding when we meet veterans and they have questions. We can point them in a direction or say, follow up with them with contacts or emails to different groups. Unfortunately, we have a few, too, that we've had to refer to, like the Veteran Suicide Hotline. And then a couple that the families have said, how do I help? I don't understand what's going on with my brother or with my grandfather. And mental health services is another issue, and that's near and dear to my heart too. So
yeah, I wouldn't doubt that at all.
So PTSD with our veterans and even first responders is a continual thing, and then it can manifest with people.
Well, yes, and I had firsthand experience with a PTSD victim before it was diagnosed as such.
Right.
About early '80s, we had a guy in our church. Relive his Vietnam experiences.
Right.
And it took the SWAT team to get him out because he was reliving what was going on in his mind. He thought he was back in the jungle and he was surrounded by the enemy and things like that. And they had to tear gas him out of his house. And, it was just, and this was a guy that I had played basketball with, who's older than me, but so I knew him and all that. And it just, but at the time, PTSD wasn't something that was commonly discussed,
Right.
And now I'm glad that it's a lot more recognized and,
Yeah, and people are able to get help with it. You hear some of the Korean type veterans, and earlier I'd heard some things referred from some of the World War II veterans when we were able to talk with them years ago. People get shell shocked. Well, that's PTSD now, in different forms, different levels of it. And they don't have to be in the military. Our police and firefighters, first responders, they deal with enough stuff that can affect them as well. So
I can't imagine being a police officer and coming across some heinous crime or an accident scene. Same with the EMTs or firefighters, things of that nature. I don't know if I could put it out of my mind. My uncle, you and I were talking earlier, my uncle was a billy gunner in World War II.
Right.
He never said a word about it. The only time I ever heard anything about his war service is one day he and my dad were driving somewhere, and I happened to be in the back seat, and I eavesdropped on their conversation. And when I told my cousin about it a few years later, he said, "That's the most I ever heard my dad talk about it. He never talked about it." And that's the common thing for that generation, isn't it?
Yeah, even some of our Vietnam veterans. I've got a very good friend that I met in 1995, and it was 5 years, probably in the 2001, before I ever found out, other than he'd been in the Vietnam conflict, as he called it. But I found out he was actually a pilot, and I didn't have any clue for several years. And then, it was one of those things where he finally opened up about it. So
most of the older gentlemen that are my generation that were in Vietnam, I had a friend that would talk to me about it, but he wouldn't talk to just anybody, nor would he talk in public about it. Right. I had a boss in one of my first jobs that was a veteran, and he was about the only one I knew that could talk about some of the more difficult experiences without being triggered himself. I guess he was able just to put it aside, which is remarkable, I think. But most of the Vietnam veteran era men that I got to know as a younger person, they didn't want to talk, and in fact, I found out that the ones that talked more boldly about it probably were, shall we say, exaggerating quite a bit, because the ones that went through the trauma, why keep going through it?
Right.
So I'm glad not just the American Legion, but the Veterans Administration and other outfits are doing more for this, because that has to be the traumatizing event in your life practically.
Right. Yeah, it's military service can hold one day to the next for people, and the veterans, a lot of them enjoyed what they did, and there's a majority that never saw a conflict, but the ones who did, or even involved in the aftermath of a storm or something else where they had to do recoveries and things, that we see that today, and people that do humanitarian needs and stuff as well. So
I had an uncle on my mother's side that got drafted into the Navy, and the Pacific meant Vietnam. He ended up going to the Mediterranean, so I guess we were fortunate there.
Right.
These guys that say, "Gosh, I wish I'd have been there. I missed out." You missed out on a lot of trauma and a lot of brutal experiences.
Yeah.
I remember my grandfather. He's very old when I was born, but we talking about him too. He was World War I. He was supposed to go to France in September of 18, and he got appendicitis, which in that day would lay you up for a month in the hospital. Okay, his appendix burst, and so they delayed his shipment until November, and then by the time November hit, they were ready to declare an armistice. So they said, just hold off. And I asked him many years later, "You feel like you missed out?" And he says, "Yeah, I missed out on trench foot and being shot at by a lot of pissed off Germans. So I'm fine, thank you." So not everybody is John Wayne, I guess. But that's fine with me. And I just think how much our family would have been different had he'd gone there and something had happened. We wouldn't be talking now, would we?
No.
But let's talk about what you got on with the youth programs.
Okay. Well, the American Legion.
What's that hat for, by the way?
Well, I'm going to get to that in a minute.
Okay, yeah.
The American Legion here with youth support, we have the sponsorship with the Air Force Junior ROTC program at Burleson High School and Centennial. Our junior shooting sports program, we're sponsored to that with the air rifle team here at Burleson. And our sporter team, 3 out of the last 4 years, has been state champion for their competitions.
Are you familiar with the Olympic shooter that's going from Burleson?
No.
You don't know him personally? He's a skeet shooter going to Paris on the Olympics. And actually, the Olympics were like a month away.
I know a lot of people are getting things are set up over there.
Yeah.
We had another young lady 2 years ago, Madison Landers. She was our national champion, and she's in the Army now. The young lady's making her way through life very well and doing good. So the other parts we have an oratorical contest that's open to sophomores and juniors. The post here in Burleson has a $500 scholarship for the winner of that at the local level, and as a contestant advances through the different levels, those awards keep going up to $1,000, $5,000. If you win the national oratorical contest for American Legion, there's $15,000 that can be put forward to a scholarship. So,
and we could all use that. I can tell you, I'm still paying off some college loans for my kids, and so both my kids still have those as well.
Yeah, but we start that program in October, and then it will go through into January for the competition. So if there's high school students that are interested in that, they can contact us, and homeschool students as well. So it's open to any of them like that.
Well, we have a bunch of pictures. When you're ready to show them, we can show them now if you want, I guess.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, we'll just run through them because you sent us a whole bunch of stuff. You got a whole lot more stuff. What's this one here? Is it a fishing competition?
Okay, so besides the American Legion, I'm involved with, volunteer with the Texas Parks and Wildlife as an instructor, and then our Texas Youth Hunters program. So we can go to a class and learn different things, and we go into the field and apply them. This young man here, we were outside of Goldwaith, Texas, and during one of our afternoon breaks on a Saturday, the young man got to go fishing in a private bass lake, and he wound up catching that crappie right there. And the smile says it all.
Yeah, it does.
Him and his dad. But it's unique opportunities when we go out to different ranches, different properties, and it's all over the state that we can use this program.
So this is something you do. It's not really affiliated with the Legion as such, but I'm sure you have some Legion support, so to speak.
Yeah, some of the events we go through, we have the American Legion will support us when we're doing classes. The VFW will support us with letting us use that. The Legion also provides refreshments to do some of the events and stuff. So it's a multitask when we go out and do different things. So. But yeah, there's the different programs we a little bit talked with you about today was besides Legion is part of this as well, because we're getting in that time of the year to start looking at more education programs as well.
Right. When is hunting season starting?
We will start doing the outdoor big game hunts October 1st.
Yeah, I remember when I was teaching, particularly in the 90s, don't expect all your students there in early October. I mean, deer hunting season. I remember one time I had a coach friend who he was just beside himself because one of his starting offensive tackles said, "I can't make this game because it's deer hunting season." And like, what do you mean deer hunting season? So that was the mentality. Now, I don't know if they do that now, but they did. It was like 91, 92, and I thought, boy, I am in small Texas town.
Yeah, it's fun.
What's the next one you got?
Well, let's see what we got up here.
All right.
Okay, this young man here, we on a youth hunt, one of the requirements is they show us their capabilities and to handle a firearm and to be accurate with it. And this young man here, he's got his 2 bullseyes right there. He is a first-time hunter, first-time shooter. He had been practicing with a .22, went to the range with his dad to shoot that rifle, and then he showed us, I can shoot, and that was at 100 yards. He put 2 on the bullseye like that, and he was happy as he could be.
How old was that kid?
If I remember right, he's 11.
Okay, that's what I was going to guess, 10 or 11, yeah.
The program's open to 9 to 17-year-olds. So.
You know, it's interesting because groups like yours and other gun-related groups are the most adamant about gun safety.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this, I don't know, left-wing caricature, if you will, that you're all gun-happy is not just heinous and wrong, but it's totally inaccurate. I mean, I've met other people from gun-related groups, hunting groups, NRA, whatever, and they are probably the most adamant about getting education about guns out there.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, firearms and firearm safety is a big deal. I mean, right now I'm from the junior shooting sports with American Legion doing the district level now. I'll be doing the division, and I got nominated to take over the state position for junior shooting sports in Texas, and we're working on a program to do an intra-state competition to get us a Texas champion. But that also goes into with our youth. So we teach range commands, range safety, all that on one side. We teach it in the classroom, and then we can apply that in the field like with this young man here.
Yeah.
It's great.
Okay, what else we got here?
Sure.
What is this?
That's one of the trailers we have. We go when we go to the ranches, we take all of our gear to set up. So there'd be a field kitchen. There can be camping supplies. We can have training aids, chairs, tables, everything we need to get out and set up.
Do you hunt yourself?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do you like to hunt?
Everything.
Everything, okay.
Yeah, I got to the point now where I enjoy the big game hunting of the feral pigs and white-tailed deer.
Well,
more.
what I hear about feral pigs, you can shoot all of those you want because they are tearing up South Texas, and then my cousin up in
the whole
Oklahoma.
state.
Yeah, my cousin gets them up in Oklahoma, up in the hills, and they just run through it. And I mean, they tear up your crops. They're dangerous.
Yeah.
They don't seem to understand fear. So that there was a couple times.
No fear in a boar, and no fence makes any. They don't respect the fence or anything. And here where I live in Joshua, with my brothers, they have killed hogs right there on our property. They're out doing what you say. They tear up. In 2019, we had almost $3 billion reported in agriculture loss across the state.
Right.
Well, you think about that's what's being reported through insured properties. How many people have 40, 50, 100-acre plots of land that can't report that? They're taking a loss. What's the true number from a feral hog devastation in the state?
It's also another thing I noticed about hunters is they're also among the most ardent conservationists.
Yes.
They don't, most of the hunters I know, if they're hunting for sport, they're also going to use the meat.
Yeah.
They're not going to just let lie in the field or whatever. They're going to use the meat. Now, I've heard about, some excess deer populations. Is that still going on?
We have certain areas in the state, like in the central valleys and stuff, where like the farmers down there have issues with deer coming in the spinach fields or other broadleafs, and they will get permits to cull those deer to prevent the destruction of the croplands. So that does occur, but with managed hunting, with the hunters and conservation programs through the state, it's pretty well monitored now. Some of the landowners who have larger areas that they are farming or grazing, they will also be able to get into a managed land development program, an MLD program, and that might allow them to, if you had 5 hunters come in and were able to take 3 to 4 does apiece, that limits the number of deer that can be harvested. But if a biologist and a landowner determine you need to harvest 50 animals off your 3,000 acres, then they can open those permits up, and then we can bring in the youth hunters and help fill those permits that way. So it's a form of conservation for the landowner.
I read that all the meat goes to usually like pantries and charitable outfits.
Some of it will,
or private use.
Yeah, or our youth hunters have the opportunity to take that with them or donate it. We work with a mission. So if we have meat or game that's donated to us, we in turn will donate to that mission, so they're able to use it for their homeless needs.
Well, that's good because venison is high in protein. I
Yes,
understand.
sir.
Okay, what else we have? There you are.
Yeah,
Avid
this was
dining
a
out.
spaghetti night. It looks like the when we get together on Friday, we have a lot of things go on, but meals are served on Friday night, Saturday 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then on Sunday we do a big breakfast for everybody. And this was a Saturday night meal at one of our ranches in Palo Pinto County, and it's unique. Every youth you see, those 3 youths there, and the other people that were in attendance, this landowner wants these hunters to be first-time hunters. He wants them, if they've never hunted rabbits or squirrels, that's what they're looking for. So they provide an opportunity to come on to what's basically a corporate-style ranch and be used for management for hunting. And these kids get the opportunity to harvest whitetail deer, aoudads, hogs. So it's a unique opportunity for them.
When you shoot a hog, though, y'all don't use that meat, do you?
If they can, or as like with this ranch, they'll take them and they have them processed at a local processor there in Palo Pinto County, and then that's donated to churches or organizations that need them.
So feral hog meat is edible.
Yes, sir.
I've heard conflicting stories.
Okay, the size of the animal makes a difference in the time of the year because right now, a 300 or 400 pound boar, you wouldn't want to eat at this time of the year. But when it cools
it's too
off,
tough or whatever.
yeah, and they gamey, they can be
Right.
rank, as they say.
Yeah.
But and then preparing the meat, when you grind it for sausage or hamburger, ground pork, when it's mixed with chilies or stews and stuff, it works out very well. So.
I noticed there's a couple of young ladies there.
Oh yeah.
So this is not just for boys.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's all inclusive for 9 to 17-year-olds, boys and girls. They're welcome. We have father-daughter hunts. We have mother-daughter hunts. We have grandfather brings out the grandkid. So it's all different family members that can come through it, and it's really fun.
Okay. Well,
So we got next year.
we got.
This is a event that was done in Cleburne State Park. We do education stations. We've done Glen Rose State Park, Cleburne State Park, and we're going to be doing Whitney State Park later in the year. These stations are set up so we provide information on both hunters education programs and the Texas Youth Hunters program. And part of this, if you'll see in there, we have the taxidermy mounts so we can go over the different animals, different things that apply to them, and then with our bucks, if we have a 13-inch rule or not. The other part, if you see to the youth hunter table, those are skin and skulls, so we can actually show different animals, pelts, and setups, and the kids can come in and get hands-on with them.
You said 13-inch rule, so you don't want to shoot a buck that's smaller than that, right? I mean, you talk about the horn spread, right?
Yeah.
All right.
So in Texas, we have regulated counties and non-regulated counties. So in a regulated county, you'll have a 13-inch spread, and that basically when we're teaching hunter education, we tell them if a deer has his ears, a buck has his ears at guard, they're pointed outwards. If the antlers are outside of that, he should be over 13 inches if he's 3 years or older. An unbranched antler, a spike, there's different rules that go with that, and that's one of the things covered in hunter's education and our outdoor annual.
So a young buck would be protected, but a young doe would not?
Does can be hunted if they're allowed in the county you're hunting in.
Okay. Why is that?
Again, it's conservation and management.
Yeah,
Right.
okay. I get it.
If the county biologists and other officials, the game wardens and hunters and ranchers, we all get together and are we having a good fawn year? Are we having a bad year? Have we had an incident with a major fire, things like that? We can control part of the hunting if need to in certain areas.
Is Johnson County one of those controlled counties?
Yes, we're regulated, so you have a 13-inch rule here in Johnson County. Once you get to Callahan County, Abilene area, Eastland, Cisco, then it opens up going west.
We have some deer out where I live. I don't see them all the time, certainly, but unless you're, if I have an early class, so to speak, to go I get up and have to leave around 6:45, I occasionally, particularly in the spring, in the cooler months, I see them. And I see them, usually they're all does.
Right.
Or if they are bucks, they haven't sprouted yet, and they're going by so fast, and they leaping over the fences. But there are several times that I've just driven by and I'd see 3 or 4 of them, in somebody's pasture land. You know, I think a couple of them put out deer corn for them or something like that.
Yeah.
My cousin has a place near Weatherford, and I mean it's like within a quarter mile of the HEB practically. You know, so it's not like out in the woods, but it's a wooded area, and he has deer all over that place.
Yeah, I've got several on my property there that we see them coming in and out, and it's fun to watch them. I'm not going to hunt those deer here because we're limited in numbers in different areas, but it's fun to have them and to watch them develop.
He almost treats them like pets, you know, because he'll put out the deer corn and all this other business, and he'll be sitting his coffee early in the morning, and they'll come around, and he just lets them wander around, you know, because.
I've been with people that have a deer that they've tagged or put collars on to say, okay, those are off limits for.
Well, by the way, this Texas Youth Hunters, is it a nonprofit as well?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not a government agency.
No,
okay,
no.
I didn't think it was, but
So what Texas Youth Hunter program is part of the Texas Wildlife Association. You know, we're like 96% privately owned in Texas. Our public hunting lands make up less than 5% of the state. So opportunities for people to hunt outside of leasing programs or being invited are kind of limited. It's not like going to Colorado or other states where you have a lot of public lands that are open for hunting. One of the things with this Texas Youth Hunting program that the need was, how do we introduce youth to the program? How do we get the word out? How do we promote this sport? And not saying, come out and just shoot a deer. It's education based. So we have a requirement that you have to have hunter's education, which is required in Texas to hunt. So our hunters will come out if they need the program, if they need to do hunter's education. We'll have them do an online course. They'll come out. We'll do a field day course on Friday with them and test them. And if they pass, we're good to go.
What do you recommend for a rifle for this? What kind of gun?
The standard answer is the one that works for them.
Yes, of course. But I mean,
But no, landowners, a lot of our landowners have a minimum caliber requirement of 6mm or 243. And that fits with most of our youth. Some
why
of them
is
are,
that?
Because a 9-year-old, you know, a youth model rifle chambered in 243, they're going to be able to manage that. They're going to be able to handle it safely, and they're not going to be scared of recoil
Right.
when they actually are shooting at the range or out of the blind. So that makes a big difference. So we've had kids show up with Grandpa's 30-30 that's all wood, and they're scared to shoot. We've had them, you know, well, this is my grandfather's rifle. It's a 30-06, and I got a 13-year-old that weighs 100 pounds soaking wet.
They're going to kick him into the next week, isn't it?
Let's let them use one of our rifles. So and that's one of the things we can do as well, is we'll provide them a rifle if they need it. There's grants for them to hunt. There's all sorts of stuff that we can do with that.
My son is not a hunter, but he is a gun owner.
Right.
And we went to the range around Christmas time. And my wife, you know, I guess she was trying to send me a message. She hit that bullseye. And when we were first dating many, many years ago, first time I met her parents, my father-in-law, future father-in-law, brought out a target that she had hit when she was like 12. And it was like, I mean, mostly shot through the middle, right? It wasn't like scattered everywhere. He said, just in case you ever wonder. We taught her how to handle a rifle. My father-in-law has about 20 acres in North Carolina where he lives on, and they have deer all the time, and people come by and want to poach. And so he runs them off.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. He's not so much like a tree hugging, deep breather type, you know, but he doesn't want hunters wandering his land and just decimating the population.
Yeah.
Which can happen if you're not paying attention.
Unfortunately, people do try to take advantage of other people's properties, whether it's to illegally hunt, poach, or even to take a resource where they come in and try to take firewood or other assets from property. And
He gets that too.
Yeah.
And he also gets occasionally, he lives out in the country, but occasionally he'll get a transient that want to, you know, park himself at the tail end of his property. And my father-in-law treats that guy better than he does these poachers.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, what else you got?
Let's see. I sent several pictures. I don't know what order we're in.
This
This young man again, him and his dad.
That looks like J.D. Vance, our future vice president.
Well, it was a semblance there when I was looking at that picture.
Yeah.
This was basically this picture was taken by one of the guides that's with them. And that's what's unique about our youth hunting program is we provide a guide who's a volunteer, and they stay with that hunter and that parent or that guardian through the whole weekend. So they form a relationship. They're able to talk and have fun, and they're also learning as they're in there. And that also...
He's wearing a cast, or I'm looking at this closer.
He's got his vest pulled down a little bit.
Okay. I was going to shoot with an arm in a sling. That's what it looked like.
He was getting towards the end of the day there, and they were kind of relaxed in the blind when we took the picture. But,
it must have been in the wintertime because everybody's got heavy clothing on.
We normally run our events like October through the end of February, and as it cools down, it can be a little bit chilly in there.
So you spend your time like in a deer blind at 20 degrees weather and all that.
Oh yeah,
and you love it.
It's an opportunity to be one with nature.
Yeah, you sit there and ponder life's mysteries. But I'm just thinking, I see these deer stands, and I think, and get in there and like, what if you don't see any deer for 5 hours? What are you going to do? And texting is kind of like, or whatever, is like it defeats the purpose, right? So you just sit there and you just contemplate.
I enjoy it, being able to mentally relax, unwind. But I also enjoy being where we can use this programs with the youth. We can use it with mentoring young adults, women of the outdoors, and our outdoor women's program as well that teach new hunters from adult women. So there's all sorts of programs that are open out there.
Okay. And what else we have here? I see youngins here.
Yeah, these two are, this was out of Valley Mills, Texas. The landowner has been working with our program for several years. And at the end of the hunt, this was Sunday at lunchtime, we were getting ready to leave. That's our 9-year-old hunter and our 16-year-old hunter. Those were the oldest and youngest. And those two, from Friday through we left Sunday, were just inseparable. They became best friends over a weekend, and they wanted their picture together. But it was fun too because this young man has aged out. The one on the left, he's now old. He's over 18, and the other young man right here, he has since been on another hunt there where I was cooking for the group. So he's well into the program and having fun.
How many young people are in this program?
It depends on the ranch. Most of the ones I attend, we have 4 to 6 hunters. A couple of the hunts, like at Lake Benbrook, we do 8. I think we're going to expand
But
to 10.
You do keep it small, right?
Yeah, we can. But then the super hunts have 60 or 80 kids on it.
Good heavens, it's like an army going through there.
Well, and then because it involves multiple ranches and central locations, but it's all geared under a cooperative of ranches, so we can have it all in the same weekend and all through the same program. And then that's like Saturday night's a big party for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what's next up here. This is an event that'll happen on a Friday at a youth hunt. These are, they have to bring their firearm to a range that's set up and qualify for us and show us that they're capable of doing it. This setup is unique here is the biologist out of Palo Pinto County actually comes out and runs the range for us, and he brings a couple of rifles that he owns and lets the kids shoot targets, and then we go from that to them firing their rifle, showing us that they're good on targets, and then we'll rotate, everyone that goes through. And they get the opportunity to have the parents there, have the guardians, and sometimes we do a little competition, sometimes not. Depends on the age of the hunters. Our younger ones, we don't do a lot of competition with, but our older ones, it's fun to see which group of 15 or 16-year-olds has a better control. So
yeah. Okay, and maybe a couple more, and then I want to show how does one get involved in this.
Sure, yeah.
Yes, the cookout.
Yeah, this is
But look, that's, to me, beautiful country.
It is.
My wife comes from North Carolina, or at least she did. She's a little bitty, and she thinks beautiful is mountains and trees. I think this is beautiful country here.
This is, again, in Palo Pinto.
Yeah.
We're actually about a mile off of the Brazos River.
Yeah.
Where this is, every one of these gentlemen that you see in this picture, they are the guides for that hunt. And the ranch provides the guides for it, which makes it unique for us. Is our volunteers in the program are able to take that weekend off and spend with families. But the ranch foreman here and these guys, every one of them is a graduate from either Texas Tech or Texas A&M. They're all wildlife managers or biologists on different ranches around the state. And they came in just every year. They come in and help us with our first-time hunters at this ranch.
Almost every class I went through at BHS, there's always, I knew 3 or 4 men and women who wanted to be in the wildlife service, and live this kind of life.
Oh, yeah. It's wonderful.
Well, it is. You get to see some beautiful country, and you're really close to God's work, and it's a great lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay, about one more, and then we're going to talk about how does one get involved in this. Right? There it is.
Oh, right. Perfect. Yeah.
Good timing. All right. So here I am. I have somebody that's interested in this. Yeah, know somebody, or my son is, or you fill in the blank. This is how you get involved with it, right?
Well, it's part of it. Okay, so the Outdoor Annual is a publication that Texas Parks and Wildlife puts out. It's updated every year, and then mid-year for the online app, which this is a picture of. And what it does is it gives you rules and regulations for both hunting and fishing in the state of Texas. The ability to look at an area where you're going to hunt, if you're in a Johnson County, Callahan County, Terrell County down on the border, you can actually go to that reference page and see when seasons are open, what's available to be hunted, and what limits are placed on the different wildlife that's there to be harvested. They also, like updates you see in here where it says new updates for chronic wasting disease and new zones that are established. And that's, unfortunately, Texas now is knee-deep, if you will, in the chronic waste disease.
Which is affecting the wildlife, right?
It affects deer populations.
Deer. Okay, I was going to ask you about that. I read about that a couple of weeks ago, that they're having these hunts to cull the herds because of this disease they're going through.
Some of the breeder facilities have actually been shut down. They've had to come in and cull out the entire herd when they get in there. Unfortunately, in the wild, the Texas-New Mexico border, some of our lowland fence areas that aren't able to be contained, we have to set up testing areas and collect samples from the animals that are harvested, and then we'll notify the hunter or the group later if their animal tested positive or negative, so they'll know as well.
You said you have breeders? I mean, I always thought of the deer as living out in the wild. But you have groups that breed deer like you would cattle?
Right. Texas, we have breeders in our state that breed whitetail deer. We have exotic animals that are bred in the state as well, some Sika deer, different things like that. And those are regulated through Texas Parks and Wildlife and the Texas Animal Health Commission, both. So when these people apply for their permits and set up and do things, there's rules and regulations they have to follow. There's testing that has to be done for their herds. And then a lot of that's done so an area that has maybe lesser quality genetics, they can reach out to these breeders and bring in a higher grade of doe that's a little bigger, maybe more muscle mass, things like that, and introduce them into other areas to help out. Or a few of them, if you will, they trophy hunt some of those things.
Right. So, do they know what started this disease?
Chronic waste disease, from my research and talking with our folks at Texas Animal Health Commission, it's been around about 40 years. Colorado and Idaho have seen it back that far. What it is, it's a prion, which gets into a food or water source. It gets into the animal and migrates to the central nervous system. It affects the brain and the brain stem of a white-tailed deer, elk, mule deer.
Kind of sounds like mad cow disease almost.
Basically, the comparison is there, but where mad cow disease has been linked to being inhuman, transferred. So far, chronic waste disease hasn't. There's possibly a report of that happening, but we haven't got it confirmed, and that's relatively new in the last 60 days that I've heard of it. But with chronic waste disease, once it's in an area, it's not going away. And the animals, they basically shut down. They brain quits telling them to eat and drink, and they perish. It's 100% fatal. And
Is it treatable?
no, sir.
Okay, so basically you have to prevent it. It's not like you can give them an antidote or some sort of vaccine.
Right
for
now,
it.
no. There's studies on, is there a way to genetically alter it? Is there a way to look at the prion, the protein in the prion being altered by maybe a mineral source or an enzyme? So there's a lot of studies that are being done and a lot of work towards it. But right now, it's a spreadable disease, and then until it can be contained or controlled, it's going to continue to spread in Texas.
Is it a threat to the deer population as a whole?
Yes, because once it's in an area, it won't go away.
You have to quarantine it then.
Yeah, and the only way to quarantine a breeder's facility or a high fence ranch is to start eliminating the game on there, and which is the landowner, the breeder, or the people who manage that. That's an economic loss to them as well.
Yeah, I would imagine.
To the lowland areas, the private hunters who are out there, they have to deal with, is the deer I'm going to take home and try to feed my family contaminated or not? So if we don't get something, a way to control and contain, eventually, in 10 years from now, what are we going to be looking at for deer populations in Texas for whitetail and mule deer?
Can you spot a deer with this disease?
Yes.
Okay, so it isn't like is it not a guessing game?
But the only way to spot it though is in the late stages, because the animal now is underweight. It has tripoding where their front legs stand out, their head droops down. They don't eat, they don't drink. They're away from it. We've heard reports of some of the animals basically just walking around, walking to a fence or walking to a tree. So early, when they first get infected and presented the disease, as it sets up in the central nervous system and expands, it may take a couple of years for it to get to the point that it does that. So, yeah, there's not a way to say it happened 6 months ago or it did this. There's not a good way to test it now.
Well, let's have a more pleasant subject.
Yes, let's go to a different subject.
How does one get a hold of this organization?
Okay. So, Texas Youth Hunters Program is tyhp.org online. They have a real nice website set up. The person who's interested in going into a youth hunt, the age requirements are 9 to 17. They will go onto the TYHP website.
TYHP website.
Texas Youth Hunters
Josh,
Program.
can you put that link in the comments?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, tyhp.org.
Well, that too. That's the one with the American Legion.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to come back to that in a minute. Just hang on to that one, Josh. I just wanted to do when you put it in the comments or something.
Right. So when you go on to the website, there is a calendar, and that calendar posts all of the hunts that are open. And we tell people, if you have an interest, sign up for multiple hunts. Because they'll fill up, and sometimes people will cancel. Sometimes there's, things happen. You get sick, you have an unforeseen family, something come up. So there's cancellations, and we'll call people to say, can you fill in? Can you do that? There's a comment section also. And when you make your application to a hunt that you want to sign up for, and you may put in there you're a first-time hunter. You may put in there have 2 children to hunt. You may put in if there's special needs. And then when we get our team, we get our group of hunters and parents put together, the hunt master, which part that I perform, we reach out to that group and say, okay, we're going to be at this ranch. Here's where we arrive. Here's the locations. We give you all the details that go into it. And then we'll ask you things like, are there food restrictions or food allergies? So we can prepare for that as well. There is a fee for this program of $200 per hunter. And the reason that is it covers your meals, it covers the insurance that we provide, and then also part of the administrative fees that go into it. So, but if you look at what it takes to go on a weekend hunt somewhere else or a deer lease, that's a pretty good deal for them.
It is. I mean, it's a bargain. It really is.
But the other side to this is is the education and safety, and that's what we stress more than the hunt itself, because we're going to provide a controlled environment. We're going to have you with a guide who's experienced. We're going to put you out there and be able to say yes or no on the animal that's being harvested. And the whole thing is, let's have some fun. Let's be safe. Let's learn something. And if we get to harvest an animal, that's a bonus.
And everybody wears bright orange.
Yes, sir. From the minute we start to the minute we leave, everybody gets an orange hat and a cap and a vest. And when you asked earlier about this is one of our caps. And I thought, I see you in that Baylor hat all the time.
Well, okay. Thank you. Well, I'll put it on right now. Hang on. I'm going to have to take the earbuds off here.
Yeah.
But so I'm going to put this on. I like bright orange hats because,
you stand out in the crowd.
You darn tootin'. All right. I feel like one of the gang now.
There you go.
How's that?
The other part is...
Sorry, Baylor. You'll have to wait another time.
Yeah. The other part you'll see on the cap as well, and part of the program is Texas Parks and Wildlife has sponsorship with that for the education things. But we also have mentor hunting through Parks and Wildlife and the Outdoor Women's Program. So there's opportunities for people over the age 18 through Texas Parks and Wildlife to go in and do that as well, to be able to hunt and do groups and do programs as well. And
how long have you been doing this?
Let's see, I'm going on 15 years now.
That's good.
With Parks and Wildlife for 15 years, and then with Texas Youth Earners Program, this is my 8th year now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's I wouldn't trade it.
I'd like to circle back to the American Legion just for a moment. We have the website. And, Josh, if you'd put it on the screen, it's coming. That one usually is a little bit quicker than this one here. But there we go. See, that one comes up. And it takes about 3 seconds to get on here.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is the website they need to go to for the services the American Legion provides.
Okay. Yeah. This was the American Legion's doing a lot of social media advertising now. You see Facebook and Instagram and things where they're putting out stories of veterans, programs and things that are out there. The American Legion, we're 100 years old now. We started in 1919. Our focus, I guess, mainly with veterans, but with community and with youth. That's the three things we look at. But our veterans need some help with health care, mental health, and then just in general being around other people who understand what they've been through.
Just to be with some people that can relate to what you're going through. Yeah.
And, it doesn't matter the age, because everybody went to form a boot camp. Everybody went through training. Everybody went through some similar experience. Not everybody served in the same branch, but still, it's unique that you can get a group of veterans together and then get a project going. And unless somebody stands out and says, I'm in charge, you get about 30 different ideas at one time.
Yeah.
So,
now, this is a nonprofit, right?
yes, sir.
And so we'll, going to have you on the show on the 19th of September.
Right.
You're going to be the only gentleman in the room besides me. I hope you know, because I have several other groups. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll love these ladies. I mean, the people from Harvest House, Crazy Eights, Next Step, Promises. All the main players of the nonprofits in this area will be here, and I'm looking forward to that in a great deal. Being Texas North Giving, say it right, Denny, North Texas Giving Day. And there's supposed to be some sort of matching thing and whatever.
Great.
But it's a really good show. I'd also like to have you on Veterans Day. That day, I had somebody, just a general show, want to do it, and I said, no, I'm going to save that one for a special veterans show, whether it was with you or maybe just me rambling about it or whatever else. So I'd like to.
Well, if you'd like to do that, I'd like to come, and then maybe we'll get somebody from the VFW to come out and
you betcha
have a couple of things there. That'd be great.
That would be. I don't know anybody in the VFW, but I bet you do.
Yeah, I'm a member of both organizations.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So there's no conflict there, is it?
No,
and I didn't think so. It's not like a rivalry. And that's another thing you'll notice about these nonprofit organizations. They are genuinely supportive of each other, and it's also a lot of cross references. You might run into somebody, like Jennifer Woods at Harvest House, and they may get somebody that could use American Legion help, or somebody with PTSD, or they may encounter a homeless guy that's a veteran, things of that nature. Because that happens. Some of their.
I take phone calls from people that need help with a family member who's passed away that's a veteran. How do I get a DD-214? How do I come up with stuff to
Just for
funeral
the
home
DD
needs.
214 is for the
DD 214. When a veteran ends their military service, they get a document that shows they were honorably discharged or maybe medically discharged. That's what's called a DD 214, a disposition form. Some of the older veterans may have a certificate of service or certificate of discharge or both. My dad had both, for example. He had a DD 214 and a certificate of discharge from the Army. But there are times when veterans' families need paperwork either to get into VA services, or a funeral home may request something, or if you're going to be using a national cemetery for a burial, that how do you get a hold of those and where do you go to get those type forms? And I get phone calls about that. Again, mental health, I stress that because that's one of the biggest, I think it's the biggest hurdle for a veteran to get help. You know, the VA can do a lot, but not everybody has access to the VA in their area. So are there county affiliates available? Are there services at maybe a local hospital that can help? Or is there a psychiatrist in the area that maybe can help out with the veterans and understand what they've been through? So we try to work on those things as well. And then, of course, community, working with the city here, like for flag collections, the cemetery, things like that. So the American Legion, we several different things. And then, of course, the youth come into it, like we discussed earlier.
When my uncle, the veteran we talked about earlier in World War II, when he was buried, the American Legion came out and gave my aunt a flag, you know, the tricorner corner flag, you know, folded neatly.
Right.
You know, thanks for his service,
Yes.
Grateful Nation.
Yes.
And I tell you, it clutches you. You know, he's like, oh, the emotions, because
But I know here in Burleson, we've unfortunately had to hold a post-everlasting ceremony at several of our members have passed, and we'll go to their service, and it takes 5 to 7 minutes, and we present the family with a it's a resolution that dedicated their service to their loved one, and then we have a grave marker for the American Legion. If they don't have a flag, if there's been a need for that, we can also provide a flag for the family as well. So it can be hard to do that when you know the people, but at the same time, when we have people in the community reach out and say, hey, we had a veteran and our family passed away, can we have somebody come out, you know, and pay respects or something? Of course, there's several of us who will go in and attend a service on behalf of the family as the veterans, you know, to be there with them if they ask. So it's a lot more to it than people realize when you're dealing with that aspect.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Sure.
And I'll be in contact with all of y'all before the 19th.
Okay.
So it'll probably be a little bit longer show because there'll be about a dozen of us, and they'll each have about 10 minutes to promote what they got going on.
Right.
So that might be a double header, so to speak. And then what happens afterwards is that we will record a show with all of y'all talking with each other. I just say, take it away. And usually Lisa Schwartz kind of takes care of that because she's, you know, if you don't know her, she's very outgoing and has no stage fright at all. and they'll talk about all the issues they have about about raising funds and putting on events and things like that. But to a person, they wouldn't do anything else. I mean, that's what they want to do, and that sounds like you too.
Yeah, we do. We do some fundraisers during the year, and then we have we go to like Tractor Supply and meet and greets, and then you know, it's being able to be out in the public helps a little bit, and then it raises awareness too of veterans causes. So
when's the next sale you're going to have at Tractor Supply? I know you had a couple of garage sales.
I think we're going to be out there right before Veterans Day just to do a meet and greet with the American Legion. We're going to be bringing our county judge in September. Our meeting, I believe it's September the
Chris
12th.
Bedecker?
Yeah.
He was on the show when he was running. His aunt is one of our city council ladies, so she might be interested in that too.
Yeah. So we extended an invitation through his office, and they called back and said that yes, he wants to come and meet with our veterans. So he'll meet with the American Legion on what's going on in the county and veterans things with it he sees. And then we'll go into Veterans Day. If you're having a show, great. But we also have a couple of our area schools that we have people maybe meet and greet with our students there on Veterans Day.
I would say Burleson's very, very receptive to what you got going on. I know the city council is, I know the mayor is, you know, so I know that's very important to all of them.
Yeah, the parks people have been wonderful to us. We, of course, like I said, we do the cemetery with the flags and stuff. So, but they've also been great with Parks and Wildlife. So we're doing an event on the 14th of September over at Bailey Lake with Parks and Wildlife and Trail Life. We have a Trail Life group coming over there. So
I'm putting you down right now for Veterans Day because I don't want to I don't want to forget and double book. I've done that before, so you're good to go. All right, I appreciate what you do. I appreciate the services, not just for the American Legion, but also with these teaching young people how to hunt, because that's a great lifestyle. And proper gun safety and proper conservation and gun etiquette, if you will, but taking care of the wildlife. I think that's great, and we'll see you on the 19th of September.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And thanks for the hat. My wife will now. I won't be able to hide. When I go to the store, I need to put it on her. My wife, when I go shopping with her, she's like a ninja shopper. I turn my left, turn back around, boom, she's gone. Josh, you did good, son.
I appreciate it.
All right, you're gonna be next week too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's see what we got going on next week. I'm pretty sure I know, but every time I say that, I goof it up. Monday we have Victoria Johnson on, for City Council. We, it's about budget time, and I think they have to have budget together pretty soon, and so I'm sure there'll be lots and lots of fun. A Harvest House will be on. They got the Power of One coming up. That's basically they're not going to be asking for a lot of money, just $1. Everybody has $1. Right. So there you go. And then I have Kay Goodell. Kay Goodell of the Railroaders. Right. The next Thursday morning. It's going to be a little earlier show, so accommodate her schedule. She's such a busy person. But thank y'all. Another great week, and we'll see y'all on Monday.